Talk, more talk, chat, more chat.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special edition of Things We Talk About Today, more things we talk about today. Not sure, whatever you want to call it, but as you can tell, this is a crossover show of Talk More Talk and Things We Said Today. And we are going to have a really fun show because we're going to talk about the brand new Wings Ultimate Collection and have I think we'll have a lot of things to say about it. So really going to be fun. Before we get going, just so oh, you've got the LPs,
Oh, I mean,
yeah.
that's not fair. You guys brought props and toys to show.
The three in the
Nobody
single.
said there'd be show and tell.
That's right.
I got the hat. There you
We got
go.
yeah, a wings hat. That's
Yes.
a wings hat. Like yeah, look at that.
Look at that hat.
There you
Those
go.
other guys don't have the hat.
That's right. That's
They
right.
brought
We
their
go
Wings
all out.
records with them.
We go all out for you guys. We always do. So before we get going, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Kit O'Toole. I'm the author of Songs We Were Singing, a guided tour through the Beatles' lesser-known tracks, as well as Michael Jackson FAQ, All That's Left to Know About the King of Pop, and my other podcast, Toppermost of the Poppermost. And with us here are, of course, the people you know very well, but just briefly, we have Allan Kozinn, who is the author of so many incredible books, including volumes 1 and 2 of the McCartney Legacy, a must read for both. Can't wait for the third one. So, Allan, hello.
Hey, Kit and Darren and Ken, fun to be here all together.
All together now, absolutely. So, sorry I had to do it. Bad joke. Next up, we have Ken Michaels, who I don't know when the man sleeps because he has so many different shows. He is, of course, the co-host along with Alan and Darren of Things We Said Today. He is also the host of the longtime syndicated radio show Every Little Thing, and he hosts his own channel on YouTube, Ken Michaels Radio, where he interviews everybody from authors to musicians. You just never know who's going to show up. So, Ken, hello.
Hello. Hi, Kit. Hi, Darren. Hi, Alan.
Hey,
Forward to this show. I
Absolutely.
love that cap.
I know.
Talk,
It's so
talk
cool.
about showing off,
Yeah, really. Yeah, my little CD, big deal. Um, so,
You always
and
have the best backdrops, though.
yes, there you go.
yeah.
There you go. And last but definitely not least, we have Darren DeVivo, of course, along with Alan and Ken, co-hosts of Things We Said Today. And Darren, I thought I'd let you announce your brand new
Yeah.
gig.
Great. Thank you. Yes, I'm very happy to say that it is underway. It has started. It has begun. It's called Noises from the Valley. And it is it's my new radio show now at my new radio home, WKZE, which is in upstate New York. It's in the Hudson Valley, Dutchess County, town of Red Hook, New York, which is a stone's throw from Rhinebeck, New York, and on the other side of the Hudson River from Woodstock and Saugerties and Bearsville. And WKZE is an independent station. Cutting edge station, play a lot of great music, and they've given me my own 4 hour slot. Friday night, 7 o'clock, 7 to 11. It's called Noises from the Valley. And the name of the show is kind of a nod to an old friend that worked with me at my old radio station back in the 1980s. We used to call his overnights Noises from the Tower. And so I grabbed the noises and I'm in a valley. So those noises come out of the valley. And so 7 to 11, it basically an anything goes type show. It's all comes out of this twisted up head, the songs, and you can listen at 98.1 FM in the Hudson Valley in Western Connecticut. Um, and you can also listen at 105.9 in that area. If you're not in that area, the website's wkze.com and they have an app. So just get to where you get your apps, and you can put WKZE on your phone and listen Friday nights, 7 to 11 p.m. So that's where I'm at now, and we'll see where we go from there. But it's good to be back on the radio. First show was this past Friday night. Second show will be this coming Friday night. You see the way that works.
There you go.
We'll
Very
keep going that way. So
awesome. Well, congratulations. We're all thrilled that you're back on the airwaves where
thank
you
you.
belong.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, all right. Well, before we get to our wings topic, since it's wings everywhere right now, we of course have the news. So, Ken, what news do you have for us?
Okay, first of all, just want to say I listened to part of Darren's show. Sounded great.
Oh, thank you.
You should be proud to announce what your theme song
Oh
is
yes,
to
yes,
open
the
with.
theme song. The theme song. Get your deluxe edition of Red Rose Speedway because Night Out is the theme, and it just worked out that the first show last Friday, I played a lot of kind of goodbye. Starting over type things, as I said farewell to the old place that never gave me the opportunity to say farewell. So I opened the show after the theme with John Lennon's Just Like Starting Over. So it was like a nice little 1-2 of Beatles stuff there. So yeah, Night Out. When I heard that, when the Red Rose Speedway box came out, it just sounded like a theme song to like a late night concert show from the 70s.
Hmm.
Don Kushner's rock concert, and that would be going on in the background. Uh,
Nice.
so Night Out from Wings is the theme song.
Nice.
Okay, I was pleasantly surprised. So we're all having a night out with Darren every Friday night
There
from
you
10
go.
to 11. WKZE. Just want to say the call letters.
Oh, thank you.
Anyway, in Beatle news, since it's been a while since we've done a show, Um, we have quite a bit to get to, but it's all very condensed, so I'll try to make this as quick as possible. The new official trailer for the Beatles anthology just appeared today on social media. It's looking good. Picture quality is just excellent. The anthology's volumes 1 through 4 come out this Friday, November 21st, and the video for the anthology streams on Disney Plus starting next week on Wednesday. November 26th. Speaking of the Beatles Anthology book was reissued, the 25th anniversary edition. And I'm bringing this up right now because I'm doing a special contest on my website. I have 5 copies of the book to give away from the folks at Chronicle Books. The way to win is to go to the special contest page on my website. You don't even need to know anything about the Beatles to win. You just have to copy the titles of Beatles songs that I put on the website from now through December the 2nd. And 5 people will be the lucky winners for that. We have the link in the description box to go to if you want to enter the contest. So Anthology Fever is here. So if you want to win the book, that's the way to do it. Okay? Ringo Starr announced dates for the next All-Star Band Tour already. It runs May 28th through June the 14th. These are all West Coast dates, 12 in total, with 6 of them in California, ending, of course, at the Greek Theater in Los Angeles. He always ends at the Greek Theater. Now, I checked his website, and there are pre-sales for these shows, some of which take place this Thursday, and some of them are on sale to the general public this Friday. So go to Ringo's website, ringostar.com, if you're interested in getting tickets for the shows. And it's the same band he's had for several years. Ringo is amazing. The guy has more energy than all of us put together,
That's for sure.
Yes.
except maybe Paul.
Yeah.
Anyway, a photo appeared online of Ringo, Bruce Sugar, and Steve Lukather in the studio working on Ringo's next album. Ringo has said that he's making another album with T-Bone Burnett, which will be coming out sometime next year. Paul McCartney's Got Back tour is winding down with 4 more dates starting tonight in Montreal. We're recording this November 20th. Tomorrow in Hamilton in Canada, and 2 dates in Chicago, November 24th and 25th at United Center, one of which is called the Concert for Kit. Have you heard about this?
Wow.
Yeah. Are you at the first show or the second one?
First. First
Oh,
show, 24th. Yep.
okay.
Oh, wow. Great.
Yep.
They say Paul is expected to be doing concerts in the UK sometime next year. We just don't know when yet. Meanwhile, the new book Wings, the story of a band on the run, which is here somewhere. I got Luca Perassi here too. This is the new book, which came out on November the 4th, and also the Wings compilation, which we showed you just a few moments ago, came out November the 7th. And meanwhile, speaking of Paul, Luca Perassi's new book, which centers just on Back to the Egg, is now out. It's available on hardcover and paperback. With all this activity, it goes without saying we're going to be doing shows on all this stuff.
Yep.
We're not just going to glossy over this in the news. We'll be doing shows. And sometimes we should explain that the reason why we do these combo shows is that both podcasts do shows on the same subject, and since Darren and I are in both podcasts, it only kind of makes sense just bring Kit along and we'll cover everything of what we have to say.
Hmm.
Something like this, the Wings compilation, if we do one on the book, and obviously the anthologies, volume 4. Maybe we'll do a show just on 4 or the whole set. But it makes sense to have all 4 of us together doing one show on each.
Mhm.
Also, the documentary One to One, John and Yoko, which aired in movie theaters earlier this year, is now available to watch on HBO. If you haven't had a chance to see it, it's there right now. They're airing it a lot. Don't forget our interview with the co-director and editor for the film, Sam Rice Edwards, is one that you can check out. That's show number 433. We interviewed him when the film first came out. Now, in addition to the Power to the People box set, Sean has been a pretty busy guy. The animated short War is Over, inspired by the music of John and Yoko, co-written and produced by Sean, won an Academy Award, and now the film will be streamed on John Lennon's YouTube channel. And that will be on December 1st at 1 p.m. Eastern. Also, the classic single of Happy Christmas War is Over has been reissued just like it was in the old days on 7-inch evergreen vinyl, backed by Yoko's Listen, the Snow is Falling. And it's also come out on a limited edition picture disc 12-inch Zoetrope, which not only has Happy Christmas and Listen, the Snow is Falling on there, but it also includes scoring from the film. And then, as if that wasn't enough, there's also a children's book based on the film from Penguin Books. I know that Sean was in New York City recently signing copies of the book. Now, another Lennon here, Julian Lennon, his new EP called Because, recently was released on vinyl and digital downloads. His website was offering the vinyl signed by Julian. Not sure if he's still doing that, but there are videos made for all 4 songs on the EP, and you can find them all on YouTube. The songs Because, I Won't Give Up, I Hope, and Keep on Searching. And other
I
singles
got my
made.
copies yesterday.
You did?
Yes.
Did
I
Julian
didn't get
sign?
it. Yeah, I ordered them. I didn't. They came in the mail late yesterday, so I took a quick peek at them, but I haven't listened but I was happy to have those.
Okay. But you can all check out the videos for all 4 of those songs now on YouTube. There's a new James McCartney song out. It's called Heaven, which you can stream. It's on YouTube. Extremely catchy. You hear this once or twice and you think this has got to be a hit. So watch it on YouTube. I don't know what James's plans are right now, if he has an EP about to come out or a new album. And then there's Danny Harrison, news about him. Dark Horse Records is proud to announce the release of Ascending into Silence, the first ever collaboration between, I hope I pronounce this right, Ivan Shapov, Carmen Rizzo, and Danny, featuring the new Bulgarian voices as conducted by Georgy Petkov. They say here the timeless beauty of Bulgarian female voices takes center stage on the album, with string arrangements by David Rossi, who did work with Coldplay, and mastered by three-time Grammy winner Paul Hicks. Ascending into Silence will be available for streaming. It already is, actually, on November the 14th. And there's a very special limited edition transparent green vinyl that'll be released for Record Store Day, Black Friday on November the 28th. So lots of activity between Sean, Julian, James, and now Danny. Coming November 28th on Y&T Records, with more details to follow, The Ivies, Anthology Volume 5. It's called Mini Skirts and Rainbows. These are demos from 1966 through 69, featuring Blodwyn, I Miss You, and a song that Bill Collins wrote for Mary Hopkin in 1969 called All the Fun of the Fair. There'll be a CD with a booklet and vinyl to follow. Boy, the last few years have been banner years for Badfinger fans
Mhm.
with all this unreleased stuff coming out. Also, just released on November 10th from Aaron Badgley, the same guy that gave us the book on Dark Horse Records, Ringo Starr solo career, Got to Pay Your Dues, which is now available as an ebook worldwide. Also just released is a new Petula Clark autobiography. It's called Is That You, Petula? It's on hardcover and Kindle, and it came out on November the 15th. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's now out, but on November 15th, Petula Clark, God bless her, she turned 93.
Wow.
Okay. Now that title, Is That You, Petula, is one that John said to Petula, because Petula, the story was she was giving a concert in Canada around that time, and it was near the Bed-In in Montreal, and she wasn't received very well for that concert, and she was taking it badly. And she heard that John was nearby, and she went to visit him, not fully aware of what was going on, but she was there during the Bed-In. She walked in when they were going to record. When John saw her, he said, "Is that you, Petula?" So that became the title of this book.
Dude.
Also, our good friend Madeline Baccaro, known for her excellent book on Yoko, In Your Mind, The Infinite Universe of Yoko Ono, indicated to me that she's working on a follow-up book, all on Yoko's music. Her book is outstanding. Anything you ever wanted to learn about Yoko is
Yeah.
in that book, and now she's the right person to do this.
Mhm.
Should also tell you that the Beatles are on the front cover of Uncut magazine, which covers the anthology and beyond. And I'm told it also has, as a bonus, a giant Beatles poster zine and a CD. I don't own a copy yet, but I will be looking for that. And don't forget, there'll be an issue coming out on Record Collector magazine in December, all on George Harrison. Don't forget a couple of special events happening just around the corner. Actually, you guys don't know about this, but Scott Fryman, who I just did an interview with, who's known for the Deconstructing the Beatles series, is doing a show in 2 nights. It's Thursday night, November 20th, in New Haven, Connecticut, at the very famous Schubert Theater. I'm supposed to be introducing him on stage.
Oh,
And he's
nice.
the same show that he just did this past weekend for that Rubber Soul conference, Deconstructing Rubber Soul. If you want to go and see the show, you can order tickets on Scott's own website, which is called deconstructingthemusic.com. Okay? Anytime he's in your area, he does these amazing shows where he really tells you the history of the songs that he examines, and he walks you through how the songs were mixed. And it's fascinating. You see it all on the screen. I just did a show with him on my YouTube channel where he does that with Come Together to give you a taste of what he does on stage. Also, don't forget the big John Lennon tribute happening from Theater Within. Happens December 12th at the Town Hall in New York City. Judy Collins will be there. She'll be honored. Graham Nash, Jimmy Webb, Sean Colvin, Suzanne Vega, the Kennedys, Livingston Taylor, and more. If you want to order tickets, just go to lennontribute.org. Okay? That's as fast
But
as I could do it.
All
I
right.
have a question for you, Ken.
Uh-huh.
The magazine that has the poster zine. Is that on? Did you say that was uncut?
Uncut, yes.
Mhm.
And actually, I think Mojo magazine has a special issue right now on the Beatles too.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you, Ken. And Ken briefly mentioned the Rubber Soul Conference, and oh, very nice. And
The book, by the way, the Wings
yep,
book.
yep, there you
And
go.
our friend Scott Sanderson
Wait,
bought
you
a
got
copy.
to you did you buy that with the book?
I didn't buy it. I got a
Wow,
copy, a review copy, but Scott Sanderson, one of our listeners, bought it in a bookstore and they gave him this. And he very kindly gave me this to show everybody.
very nice.
He
To
gave
put
you a
on your
slip mat?
turntable? Huh?
You got a slip mat? Free slip mat?
I guess so.
Mm.
What's up with that?
One of our listeners likes me. I'm sorry.
Mm.
Part of the perks.
That's right. That's right. So, before we get to our main topic, just quickly want to mention Ken mentioned the Rubber Soul Conference. I just want to thank everybody who came to see our special panel at the conference, which was held at the Berkeley Oceanfront Hotel in Asbury Park, New Jersey. It was a fantastic weekend. We had a great time, and it looks like it's going to be another one next year on honoring Revolver, obviously. So,
Great.
as soon as we know anything, we'll of course let you know the details. But wanted to thank everybody who took part. Great discussion. Had a wonderful time.
Yes.
And folks can listen to the audio, right, of
Yes.
that of us. So there's like a bonus Talk More Talk
Mm-hmm.
audio only of the conference that we had at
That's
the conference,
that's
the
right.
panel.
Yep, exactly. And that's available on our YouTube channel and
Right.
on Podbean or anywhere you get your podcasts. So absolutely. All right, let's get to our main topic, which is surprise, surprise, the Wings latest Wings collection. Now, I've got a lot of questions for you guys. So, all right, Alan's
Free
ready to
variety.
go. So, and
Here's
Look at
yes,
that hat.
we got
$100
the
worth of
hat
wings.
in the book. Oh my gosh,
Look,
we
and
are ready.
I have a potted plant showing stuff off. Okay.
We go all out here. We really do. So I have a lot of questions for you guys, a lot of thoughts, and let's start out with one thing. This is obviously not the first Wings compilation. There was one in '78 called Wings Greatest. Now we've got this one. What do you think Paul was trying to accomplish, to communicate through this collection that maybe was a little different than the '78 one? We'll go through some of the specific tracks in just a few minutes, but I just wanted to get kind of your overall opinion. And Alan, I thought we could start with you, being, of course, the McCartney expert here. What do you think Paul wanted to accomplish putting this together?
I think, what he wants to accomplish now, it seems clear from the things he's been saying and, in the book as well. And, it's coming. This is part of a big package, really, with these releases and the book and the film. He wants to sort of make a case for Wings as a sort of viable successor to the Beatles. And for people, well, I should say your ages, he is arguing that, people come up to him and say, well, he talks about the Rolling Stone interview he did once where he's talking about Pepper, and the interviewer said, well, that period is a little early for me. I'm more of a Wings guy. So he's sort of running with that. And in the set itself, I think he's got sort of an interesting combination of big hits, reminding everyone of what the big Wings hits were. I mean, if while he's making the argument that Wings was a huge band in the 70s, he's reminding you, Band on the Run, High, 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 Silly Love Songs. I mean, those are the first three tracks on here. Um, and then also weaving in some deep cuts that I wouldn't have expected, She's My Baby to be on a Wings hits compilation, really, but it kind of fits in there. Also, some of the things from Back to the Egg, which I mean, we're all still waiting for the London Town and Back to the Egg archival boxes. It would be great if you would put those out, but we getting closer, An Arrow Through Me. Um, I would have liked Baby's Request as well, but hey, what can you do? It's on the McCartney years. You get the video of Baby's Request and surround mix and everything. So, um, yeah, I think basically that's it. He's trying to give an overview of Wings and flesh it out with not just the big hits,
Mhm.
and I think he's done a pretty good job of that. And you know, it- I don't know about you, kid, but these two guys sort of know that my attitude towards compilations, generally speaking, is
Mm.
you know not that cheerful. I mean, I get, as you see, I'm happy to spend my money on them, but these are also, as you can see, still all sealed.
Mhm.
Um, because compilations, I just as soon go back to the full
Yeah.
album or make my own compilation. Now, what I did open is this.
Mhm.
This is the Blu-ray with the surround mix, and it's an incredible surround mix. I mean, it really is good.
Mm.
Some of these surround mixes are, okay, and some of them have been great, but this is a great one. Um, I have a couple of issues with some of the things on the surround mixes, but there are some really great things we can get to later on after everyone else has commented on the full thing.
Great. All right.
Yeah.
I've been hearing wonderful things about that mix. People have been talking about it online, and so it's yeah, that's an incredible experience. So Alan brings up something that was another question I had, and I'm going to throw this to you, Darren, which is who is the intended audience for this compilation? Because as Alan was just mentioning, we all have this stuff, right? We all have, or we could make our own, which might be very different, but we'll get to that later. Thinking about the, Wings Greatest, and then I forgot to mention the Wingspan
Right.
collection. There was
Right.
that one, and now this one. So who do you think the intended audience is for
That's a
this?
very good question because this is presented as though it could be an introduction.
Mhm.
And then it leads to the question, um, those who weren't around when Wings were on the charts and were relevant in the 70s, um, are there enough people clamoring for a primer of Wings today? Clearly, at least I would assume the record company thinks so because they okayed the release of the box set, which is really the complete set. I kind of don't see. I understand why it exists, but the single CD version, single LP version, the LP version is an exclusive, I think, of Target.
Yeah.
And then there is also the single CD is sort of it misses the point. You really have to listen to the full version, two CD triple album. And I think that what he has done here is probably for the first time created a very accurate best of album. All of the albums that he's put in the past have flaws to them. I remember when Wings Greatest came out, and I remember getting it for Christmas in '78. Um, I was disappointed that, like, Listen to What the Man Said wasn't on it, and that Maybe I'm Amazed wasn't on it, which was a top 10 hit for Wings.
Mhm.
And that there were several. I know this was splitting hairs. I knew it at the time, but still, Another Day and Uncle Albert, Admiral Halsey were not Wings songs.
Yeah.
Here they are on Wings' greatest stuff. It was a great listen. And I played it often as a kid growing, in the late 70s. But it had its flaws. And Wings, All the Best was, I always felt, a very flawed compilation. And Wingspan was really, there was so much on there that wasn't Wings that it was, you know, it, why are we calling this Wingspan? It's kind of two-thirds Wings, but there's a lot of good stuff that bookends the period. He and Pure McCartney to me was always just Paul's mixtape of his own
Yeah.
of his career. That's Paul throwing out what was a hit and everything. And these are the songs, I guess, that he thinks are the best things he did. But here we have Paul creating an album that if you really want to have the best of Wings, even for the hardcore fan like us, you get the triple LP or the double CD, which I believe that they do repeat all the same tracks, the triple LP and the double CD, and you got pretty much the best of Wings all in one place. As a primer for the younger fan, it's great. Depends on how many younger fans out there are looking for a McCartney collection that concentrates on one period of his career. I don't know if I answered your question though, Kit, but um, it is sort of the timing wise a little odd that it comes out now. Um, it's not tied to any specific anniversary or event. Um, so it sort of comes out of left field. It sort of comes out at a time when Wings fans are really clamoring to get those London Town and Back to the Egg box sets, and then this comes along. This isn't what we wanted. So it's kind of a peculiar release at a strange time, but there's no denying that it is virtually, it's got its flaws, a few of them, but it's as close to accomplishing the best of a period in McCartney's career of anything that he's put out. Again, I apologize if I'm not sure I answered your question.
No, no, and and it's funny because you kind of summarized why I sometimes forget about Wingspan because it didn't really feel like a Wings collection. I mean, yeah, part of it was, but I remember we debate us fans debated a lot over Wingspan. So, um, Ken, what do you think Paul was trying to accomplish with this album?
Well, for one thing, I think this is all tied in with the documentary of Men
Mhm.
on the Run. And I think this was meant to be something to create a buzz to lead into the documentary, which is coming out the end of February. And I also think that as far as an audience is concerned, first of all, there's always going to be the Beatles fans out there that will buy everything, even if they have it 10 times over. You have those people. You also have the new generation of McCartney fans who are going to see him in concert, maybe with their parents or their grandparents or whatever, and they're hearing his music. Maybe they know his Beatles stuff. Maybe they don't know enough of his solo music. And this is a great introduction. I always say a greatest hits is a great introduction for an artist's career. Um, and this goes deeper than just the hits. So if you go to see McCartney in concert and you basically don't know that much about his post-Beatles career, this is a great way to start because some of the songs you're going to hear, Band on the Run, Jet, he's been doing Junior's Farm, he does Let Me Roll It, he does Live and Let Die. Well, those are all here on this collection. So I think that he's trying to grab those people, plus trying to create a buzz, as the book does too, on Wings.
Mhm.
It's all a part of what's leading into the end of February. And hopefully, as Alan said, maybe the box set for London Town and Back to the Egg later on. Um, and that would be really good marketing to me.
Mhm.
What about this is a lot of three major releases, the book, the album, and the documentary. I wonder if the timing of it here was to try to shoot life back into the reissue campaign.
Could be.
Because I think I did read, and now it's years since the last box set came out, last album reissue, that sales were tailing off um, on later editions. This would kind of rekindle interest
Hmm.
and help push London Town and Back to the Egg. And we know that work on those albums sonically have been done by looking at the dates
Hmm.
of the remasters of the songs from London Town and Back to the Egg
Yep.
that are on this album, Wings. And they are recent. There's the London Town 2022 remaster is a date given. Um, I don't know if all of the London Town tracks are 2022, but first one I spotted here is. And the Back to the Egg tracks are, well, this is 2016, but I know there was another one I think that was more recent. So anyway, work's been done. The work exists. Why do the work and then leave it?
Yeah.
So maybe that this was part of a jump starting of you know, of launching these other efforts, which a lot of work was probably put into.
Hmm.
It's possible. I think in some ways that there's like a disadvantage that Paul has in that he has such a huge catalog that if you're going to put out box sets on every single album, that's a lot to spend money on. You know, I think it's a lot easier, unfortunately, with someone like John, whose catalog is so small, where every album has to come out as a box set. Um, and George, everything's been happening kind of slowly between All Things Was Past and Living in the Material World. And we'll have to wait and see if each of his albums gets some kind of deluxe treatment with a box set. But there's already been a lot of box sets out on Paul. So maybe the sales were slowing down because there were quite a lot already.
Hmm.
So who knows? Maybe he
They
was
were also getting more
delaying.
expensive.
Hmm.
The,
Oh,
the last sets were more expensive than
yeah.
so, and that may have had an effect on the sales too.
True.
So,
Yeah, that's true.
Remember,
so if
there
it
were
just goes
also
back to
those.
his original,
Oh, but go ahead, Alan.
I was just going to say, if it goes, they became more expensive because he got a bit fancier with them, like
Right.
uh, the flaming pie one, for instance, came with in a huge version with Linda's prints and and the Wings Over Europe one, has that really two albums, Retro Speedway plus, I guess, Wildlife, and that became a pretty expensive set too because it also had the live album in it, and so I have a feeling that those things might have run into some price resistance if he goes back for London Town and Back to the Egg and just does London Town and Back to the Egg the way he had done the McCartney album and Ram and most of the others. I think he might be surprised at how well they sell. And I say surprised because he has been professing that he doesn't like Back to the Egg that much. But he's wrong about that. Back to the Egg is a great album.
Yep.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And I really wish he would do it. So
Hmm. Yeah.
I have one other thing, actually. You had asked what Paul is trying to show, and we had asked Adrian, my co-author, Adrian Sinclair, if he wanted to come for this, but we record sort of late in the day, and he's 5 hours in England over there, and we had a discussion on WhatsApp, and he sent some really interesting comments. I hadn't asked him if I could read them, but I don't think he'd object.
No.
I won't do it. I won't try a Yorkshire accent.
Oh,
But
come on.
for what it's worth, I like the new compilation album. The sequencing is generally very good, and the 5.1 mixes are amazing. Of course, new mixes of everything would be nice, but the 5.1 and Atmos make up for the lack of new stereo mixes. Another observation about the Wings set, since the track list is not chronological, it highlights how the vocals of Paul and Linda, and sometimes Denny, define the group.
Yeah,
Even mixed up, it sounds incredibly coherent. For me, this highlights that together Paul and Linda achieved what, for me, John and Yoko never did. They created a combined vocal sound that defined Wings and showed their artistic unity was not superficial or forced. They had a genuine chemistry as singers and artists. This is something I knew, but kind of took for granted, and this new set really highlights it. In fact, in December '73, Denny Lane said Wings is Paul and Linda, and he was kind of right because no matter who was backing them, they defined the sound of Wings. The drumming and guitar styles changes, but they never defined the sound of the group, not like Gilmour and Floyd, for example, or Bonham and Zeppelin. So I think maybe that is also something that, you asked what Paul's trying to show, and maybe he's trying to show that too, because I think Adrian's right. The Paul and Linda and sometimes Danny vocal blend is really a huge part of Wing's signature. So,
absolutely.
so there's
Yeah.
that.
But
Well,
I would tend to say Linda Denny because they always were kind of together behind Paul with the lead, and that is a definite, distinctive sound. Those vocals that was very well written. That's why Adrian is an author. That he comes up with something like that because he hit the nail on the head um,
I think so.
with
yeah.
I
that.
think so.
Yeah,
That's why I wanted to read it.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
I'm very glad you brought that up because that was another question I had, the sequencing. And he definitely touched upon that, and maybe we could expand on that for just a moment because, Paul could have just gone chronologically, to show the progression of the group, but he didn't. It seems to have some, he made some very deliberate choices here. I mean, starting with Band on the Run probably, that isn't as big a shock. I mean, that's you know, maybe considered their unofficial theme song, practically. But then, he would mix it in with some songs from Back to the Egg and something going back to, to Wildlife and going, why? So, Adrian mentioned he thinks it was to really shine a spotlight on Paul and Linda's vocals. Are there any other reasons why you think he chose to do it in this particular fashion rather than just chronological? Ken, yeah.
I don't, I mean, I agree a lot with what Adrian said. Certainly Paul and Denny and their vocals define the sound of Wings, but you don't want to discredit the other fourth and fifth members and what they brought to the group. But vocally, yes, the blending of their harmonies made it a very distinctive sound, if you're just talking about vocals there. But I think that I don't know what to say about the sequencing. I liked it very much. I liked the fact that you could bounce around from one era to another era, but you can get the feeling of consistency and knowing that this is a band throughout this entire period of time. And I also think, and I didn't say this before, when I first saw this list of all the songs, I said, "Thank God it's just Wings."
Mhm.
And from the Wildlife album through Back to the Egg, um, it's there's like we said, there's no Another Day and Uncle Albert in here, and there's no duets with Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson. It's just the Wings period.
yeah.
And he's actually treating it like it's something separate from everything else, which I always have done, and yet at the same time, it's part of Paul's huge catalog. I understand that. But I think he's trying to make a statement that Wings was its own entity, even though they went through
Yeah.
lineup changes through the years. Um, I always kind of felt like with Paul, with all of his compilations in the past, he diluted the catalog to the point where, people don't really separate Wings from McCartney solo. And
Yeah.
I'm always trying to defend Wings as a band. You listen to Denny Seiwell, who was there. You know the efforts that Paul went through to try to establish Wings as a band. Um, and I'm grateful that there are some McCartney, Denny Lane compositions in here
Yeah.
to illustrate that. But I don't know what to say about necessarily the order of these songs. I like it the way it is. I'm very pleased with some of the songs that were chosen. Also very upset about songs that certain ones that weren't.
We'll
But
get to that in a minute. Yep.
yeah,
Because I know we have things to say about that.
but yeah, I think that it's important to know that whether you're playing a song from Wildlife or you're playing a song from Back to the Egg, it still has a consistent sound to it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think
Absolutely.
Period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's very much a thing that jumps out at looking without listening. Just reading down the list is it hangs together very nicely as a complete body of work over a period of a decade, just about. I did think it was just a little interesting that it is top heavy with Band on the Run.
Yes.
Whether or not that was intentional or an accident, because he does a better job in distributing hits. You go down to the very last song on the triple LP double CD is Good Night Tonight, top 10 hit. Two
Mhm.
tracks before that, With a Little Luck, which was a number one. So he's scattering the tracks around in that regard, but it does start off that it's a little heavy on the bend on the run towards the top.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that kind of jumped out at me, but it hangs together, and I think with this material, I think if you want a best of greatest hits compilation to 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 hang together as a listening experience, as an album in itself, sometimes chronological just doesn't work because you're listening, if especially in a box set, the old box sets that used to come out in the 80s, which were so wonderful to have all this material together, like Eric Clapton's Crossroads or the Allman Brothers Band's Dreams box set. You couldn't throw them in disc one, two, three. I mean, you could one, two, three, and four and play them because the old archaic, scratchy old demos at the beginning of the album and nothing like the super polished hit singles that the band did when they were running out of gas at the end.
Mhm.
This is avoided the way Paul scatters these tracks around here, and it really hangs together well
Hmm.
as a listen, as a body of work in and of itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Alan, what do you have any other thoughts to add to Adrian's?
Yeah, I think in addition to that, and I'm not sure how consciously this was done, but there were certain Wings albums, well, really one, Wildlife, that has been, pretty maligned over the years. And yet, you're listening to this sequence and you run into Love is Strange and Some People Never Know, and it fits very well with everything around it. And you think, actually, these tracks were really pretty good. And I think that maybe that's part of that idea of showing Wings as a consistent body of work and perhaps getting people to go back and give Wildlife another listen.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. And I think too that the way this is organized, I think it also shows the diversity of Wings. I mean that it's like, okay, you want a ballad? Okay, here you go. Here's more of a poppy, disco tinged hit. Then you've got your straightforward rock and rollers. Then you've got something like Bluebird, which has kind of jazzier chord changes and that sort of thing. So, I that was another thing that struck me too was just the diversity of the sounds. And
Hmm.
but I think that's a good point, Alan, that by mixing it in like that, wildlife tracks with some of the other well-known ones, they do kind of put them in a new light. Kind of like, oh, that album was so panned when it came out. No, but listening in this context, the songs aren't bad. So I think that's a
And
good point.
for diversity, you also want to go to the surround mixes because there
Mhm.
are so many things you hear that don't jump out at you on the stereo mix. I mean, they're there, but they're a little buried maybe. On Mamunia and I think on Bluebird too, there are all kinds of percussion effects going on the rear channels that
Wow.
I don't remember hearing before. There are in other tracks, there are keyboard parts, Mellotron and all kinds of things going on the back channels that are suddenly a lot clearer than I've ever heard them. I mean, in a way, when we did these books, we basically tried to take every track apart and talk about how it was made, but I really wish I had these mixes then too, because so many more details come out. It really also, silly love songs. Um, you've got all the brass on the front channels and all the strings on the back channels, and you're completely surrounded by that song. You
Mhm.
know, it's so, like I say, for diversity, just in terms of the kind of detail that Paul put into these tracks, the the 5.1 mixes really sort of make that point too much clearer than anything I've ever heard before.
Wow. Think I'm going to have to go out and get those. I think you've sold me, Alan. That's amazing. I would love to, I love hearing details, little details in songs
Yeah.
that you don't notice in a, typical
Uh,
stereo mix. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
that's what this is great for that. I
wow.
can't say enough.
Wow. So let's get to the songs themselves. Now, there are many songs on here, big hits like Band on the Run and Let 'Em In and all that. Not surprising. I mean, those were huge hits. What were just maybe two or three songs on here that you were pleasantly surprised to see included? Ken, why don't we start with you?
I love the fact that Get on the Right Thing was on there. That's I don't know why that song wasn't a single, you know,
Mhm.
at the time, but we're dealing with a moment when My Love was a hit and then immediately he had Live and Let Die after that. So he only had one single from that album. I'm happy that anything from Wildlife is on there, although I don't know how you could have missed Tomorrow of all the songs from
Mm.
Wildlife, but I'm really happy that Love is Strange is on there and Some People Never Know. And I'll just mention one other song. I wasn't aware until I read about it and now listen to it. The version of Soily is the one that's from One Hand Clapping, not the one from Wings
Yeah.
Over America.
Right.
And that that recording just is such a rocker, so edgy. I'm so happy that was in there.
Mhm. Completely agree. Darren, how about you?
I was very happy to see that lesser singles were not disregarded, like I've Had Enough and London Town. And I guess Letting Go would actually, I know that he does perform that live, and it is a song that's got, I think, a little more people kind of know that, but it was a lesser single,
Mhm.
just nudged in at the top, cracked the top 40 briefly. And those songs are not overlooked. But give Ireland back to the Irish? Perhaps not a song that Paul wants to bring back now, all these years later. And Mary Had a Little Lamb, a song that is a lightning rod, I think, for a lot of McCartney fans. I love it.
Me
I
too.
always thought it was an outstanding melody, and it's a great tune. I've loved it. Minor hit, but I think it charted higher than London Town did, or maybe even Letting Go, or they're all in the same ballpark. So I would have liked to have seen those included. But then again, like I say, um, what's more important? Having a hits album that has every single included, or lopping off some of the lesser singles slash hits for a key album track, or maybe trying to make up for an omission, like Ken said, get on the right thing. Perhaps Paul always felt that that was one of the strong ones that got
Mm.
forgotten about. I would have definitely, though, if I was doing that, grabbed for things like Little Lamb Dragonfly Beware My Love, Time to Hide as candidates to be deep album cuts on here instead of um, maybe uh, I don't know, Bluebird
Hmm.
or which gives you another Band on the Run song. I love Bluebird, but there's so much from Band on the Run on here,
Hmm.
or perhaps No Words, which might be my favorite song on Band on the Run, would be a better pick than Mamunia.
Hmm.
Yes.
But anyway, I mean, you could debate this, you
Hmm.
know, till the cows come home, or make it a 4 LP set, but that wouldn't make sense,
Yeah.
you know. But these are the things, the fringe tracks, and of course, I don't. I mean, Maybe I'm Amazed was a miss. The live version of Maybe I'm Amazed, big hit, and gives him a, um, a legitimate way to get in one of his pre-Wings signature songs. Um, Maybe even coming up.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Depends on how you dissect the American chart.
Hmm.
And I did try to look into that and couldn't really come up with anything substantial. Was coming up a number one hit because of the live Wings version?
Yes.
Hmm.
So that probably
So that's legal. Hmm.
should be, you know,
Hmm.
included too.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, you're looking at there's reasons why they weren't.
Hmm. Yep, absolutely. And so, yeah, we're going to get to more songs that we think should have been included in just a second. Darren kind of got us rolling on that, but I want to hear Alan. What were some pleasant surprises on this album for you? Inclusions.
Well, I guess some people never know. Get on the Right Thing. I mean, because Get on the Right Thing, while it was on Red Rose Speedway, was really recorded during Ram. So that's one of those sort of borderline things, as Little Lamb Dragonfly would have been if they had included it, which I think I would have loved if they did actually. Um, uh, Otherwise, Getting Closer, Good Night Tonight, I'm happy was there. Because the last incarnation of Wings, I feel very strongly about. I think he finally, not to disparage in any way any of the previous lineups, but I think he finally had the band that he needed in terms of the excellence of the players and the fact that everyone was behaving, which, was
Yeah.
not always the case in the history of Wings. You know,
Hmm.
he could have done whatever he wanted with this band, but now he's saying that, well, I think I had just gotten over the idea of having a band, and that's just too bad. Um, anyway, but I'm glad those few tracks were there. I mean, there's more that I would have wanted from that period, which I guess get
Yep.
to when we get to that part of it.
Yep.
Yeah, and otherwise, again, I mean, not to keep beating this drum, but for me, a lot of the pleasant surprises were just in listening to the surround sound and hearing those details. So even if it was a track that, I've heard 8 gazillion times, like, all those Band on the Run tracks that Darren uh, rightly points out is sort of overweighted towards Band on the Run. Yet hearing them this way, and I've heard the surround mix of Band on the Run. I wonder if these are. I think these might actually be different mixes than
Oh,
the standard Band on the Run surround. I'll have to take that out and play it again,
wow.
and see. But yeah,
Interesting.
uh, and Love is Strange too. I mean, that was I was happy to have that there. I think I was a little surprised in a way because people dislike wildlife so much, you would almost think that wildlife would be it is hardly represented. It's only got those two tracks, but still,
Three.
those are two good tracks.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
Tomorrow would have been a good addition too.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
Yep. Yep. Let me just quickly mention you guys all mentioned a number of my pleasant surprise inclusions. I will also mention Aerothermy. I'm glad that song is finally getting the respect it deserves. I've
Sure.
always loved that track, and so I was thrilled to see it represented here. Bluebird. I love Bluebird, so I was thrilled to have it here. I think it's a beautiful song. Um, and She's My Baby was an interesting choice. It's not my all-time favorite Paul song, but it's kind of a favorite in some ways. I think it's has a nice melody to it. A little bit of a different feel for him. So I was pleasantly surprised by that.
Hmm.
And But yeah, mostly the other ones you mentioned I had on my list too. So now let's get to the part I think we've all been dying to is what's missing. What would you like to have seen? So Alan, what you were sort of starting it, so why don't you continue? What your thoughts on that?
Well, happy as I was to have this end with Good Night Tonight, I really would have liked to have heard Daytime, Nighttime Suffering. I think of those two tracks, I prefer that one. I mean, Good Night Tonight is fine, but Daytime, Nighttime Suffering is that like extra bit above. And we've, I think, all mentioned Tomorrow from
Yeah,
Wildlife. Um, I mean, this is a sort of an odd choice because it's so scrappy and maybe emblematic in a way of what a lot of people don't like about Wildlife, but I think Mumbo would have been fun to have on here. I don't know. Um, Otherwise, Baby's Request, I think I mentioned before
yeah,
too.
that's a
Just
great one.
love that song and
Yeah.
would have been eager to hear a surround mix of it.
Yeah.
Uh, and Little Lamb Dragonfly. I mean, if we were going to have one Ram outtake that ended up on Red Rose Speedway, I would rather have had that, I think, than Get on the Right Thing. I like Get on the Right Thing, but I love Little Lamb Dragonfly.
Hmm.
So
Mhm.
um, I guess that's probably a good enough
Mhm.
sampling for me.
All right. Very, very good. Ken?
All right. First of all, Darren grabbed just about everything that I was going to say,
Well,
which sounds great.
Thanks, Darren.
I just realized now that I kind of went in reverse there and went off on the with more songs. So I have my pick for my surprise track.
Okay.
So
All
I'll
right.
answer the previous question when my turn comes.
Yep,
So
yep, absolutely. No
Let me
problem.
just
So,
say, first of all, that coming up, no matter what, you talk about listen to what the man said, not being on Wings' greatest. To not have the live version of Coming Up, it was their last hit as Wings. It was a #1 hit in America. How could you exclude that?
mhm,
Okay. And for that matter, you mentioned Maybe I'm Amazed. It went to #10 in America. Do you realize that the only way that you can get that live version, other than buying a digital single, is by buying Wings Over America? The live
wow.
version has never been on any McCartney compilation. He only puts the studio version on.
hmm
And I don't know why that is. I mean, I loved the studio version more than I loved the live version, but the live version was the hit, and it
Mhm,
was technically Wings, even though it's a solo McCartney song. So I think that those two should have been on there. You mentioned Beware My Love. Absolutely. That was a major, major album cut when Wings at the Speed of Sound came
Yep.
out, and it was great live too. You could have there's no live cuts here on this compilation, and I don't know why. Nothing was taken from Wings Over America. Some songs sound better live, like we
mhm,
talked about Letting Go.
mhm,
And I'm happy the studio version of Letting Go's on here. I'm
mhm,
not complaining about that, but there's not one live recording here on this compilation. I would love for Girls' School to have been on there.
mhm.
Cafe on the Left Bank, Old Siam, Sir, again, Daytime, Nighttime Suffering, or Sally G, if I
Yeah.
pick a beat.
Yeah.
Um, and also, just like Darren said, Two Weighted in Band on the Run. If you look at the American album of 6 tracks, 10 tracks, 6 of the 10 are from Band on the Run that are on here. That's way too much. Or it's 5 out of 9 if you go by the UK release. So I definitely wouldn't have put Mamunia in. I like Mamunia. I don't think
Yeah.
not at the expense of the other songs that I mentioned. And I love Bluebird, but I think four songs from Band on the Run would have been enough. I think Band on the Run, Jet, Hell and Wheels in 1985 would have been enough for me
Mhm.
from Band on the Run.
And Let
Um,
Me Roll It too.
you could take Let Me Roll It Out. You know, I
Yeah. Just
maybe
because
I'm
this is,
so
Ooh,
maybe I'm so burnt out on it because he never
yeah,
stopped.
yeah, I
I
think I would give him a pass on that because it's a staple of his live show.
yeah.
That's the only thing I agree. I kind of agree with you,
Mhm,
Ken. But all right, I'll give him a pass on that one.
mhm.
and there's one very important aspect of this collection that I have to bring up. As someone who has always defended Wings as a band, there's a lot of ways you look at a band as being, a collaborative effort. It could be as musicians, it could be as vocalists, it could be as songwriters. Denny Lane sang a number of songs during Wings, and Deliver Your Children's on here, and there's kind of like an equal balance between Denny and Paul on there.
Yeah,
But there isn't one single Denny Lane lead vocal on this compilation. You have to put Time to Hide in
Yeah.
here. That was a big
Yep.
highlight of the tour in '76. And Darren and I always talk about New York radio at the time. What they
Yep.
played from Wings at the Speed of Sound was almost every song from that album. And Time to Hide got a ton of airplay.
mm.
And what's wrong with putting Medicine Jar in there?
Yeah.
Giving
That's
the
one of my favorites. Yeah, that's a great song.
and get represented. I wouldn't put Wino Junko in there, but I would put Medicine Jar in there.
Mhm.
Good
Definitely.
point.
So just have one vocal from Danny and one from Jimmy to make it feel more like a band instead of every song being a Paul lead vocal.
Mhm,
Although, like I said, Deliver Your Children's a balance
mhm.
between the two.
Yeah.
The only
Mhm.
other thing that I would say is, and I hope I don't get a lot of hate mail for this, I think Paul has an obsession with Sea Moon. I
Thank you.
I
Yeah.
like the
Thank
song.
you.
It's a nice song. I know it was a double-sided hit in the UK. Not at the expense of all these other songs that
Yeah.
deserve. I think it's just a favorite of his.
Yes.
Maybe it was a favorite of him and Linda.
Hmm.
Same way She's My Baby is, and I love She's My Baby.
Hmm.
I think Linda loved that too, and I think it was a favorite of Paul's. I think that's part of why that's on here. Just like, you were talking about Pure McCartney before, when that compilation came out, Paul said that he was trying to put together a collection of songs he'd like to hear if he was taking a ride somewhere of his own stuff. So they're really personal favorites of his, you
Yeah.
know. Um, you know, Sea Moon's on a lot of collections, so it seems, and it's just, I don't know.
No, I completely agree. And
It's
there's
like
even a restored video for Sea Moon that went up on his channel. It's like, God, he loves this song, doesn't he?
I know many of you watching love this.
Yes.
So I love it
Good
too.
for you.
But I just think there are other songs that are more worthy of being in the collection than Sea Moon.
Yep, I agree. You can send the hate mail to me as well. I completely agree. Okay, Darren. So first, share your pleasant surprise.
A pleasant surprise for me would be Call Me Back Again from Venus and Mars.
Hmm. That's a
That is a deep, and I've used the word obscure. That's not really accurate, but that's about as deep a cut as you're going to get, and always was. I feel like a great example of McCartney being a fantastic rock and roll singer. When people say who is your favorite lead singer, I said you can make the argument he's the best bass player. You can also make the argument that if he isn't the best lead singer in rock, he was in the discussion, and Call Me Back Again is proof of that. So I was thrilled because seeing it here, it kind of acknowledges the fact that even going back to when I was 10, when Venus and Mars came out, that song resonated with me. Um, and the other thing that I wanted to single out, now I kind of lost my train of thought, so stick with the Call Me Back Again was my really nice, pleasant surprise that that was included on this.
Mhm.
And maybe before we wrap up, I'll remember the other one. But um, yeah, so that would be like the one real good surprise I'm glad that's here track. Um, and because of its length, because it tends to be short. If you got so much band on the run on there, take out Mamunia, put in no words, and use some of that time for something, one of the Sally G or something,
Yeah.
or Mary Had a Little Lamb,
Mhm.
Hmm.
There you go. Yeah. Many.
or
Oh.
Seaside Woman.
Hmm. Oh, interesting.
Get Linda
Hmm.
represented that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, most of the songs you mentioned, I had as well on my list. Yeah, Tomorrow. I've also Old Siam, Sir, Daytime, Nighttime Suffering. I also would have loved Spin It On. I've always loved Spin It On. That is just
Mm.
such a great, his take on sort of punk at the
Yeah.
time. I would have loved to have seen that. But I guess that's the great thing about Paul's catalog is, I mean, it's so large that you could go on and on about what about this one? What about that one? So
Mm.
for our final question of about this uh, collection before we wrap it up, maybe just one each. Was there a song on here that was included where you thought, huh? Why this
Was this
one?
here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm. All right. Darren, what about you? Darren?
Go to someone
Oh,
else,
okay. Sorry.
and I have a couple I want to narrow it down though. So,
Okay, gotcha. All right, let's go with Alan then. So, Alan, was there one on here that you thought, what? Why was
Uh,
this included?
Maybe She's My Baby, but just because I think it's an odd choice, not that I think it doesn't belong there.
Mhm.
It fits. I mean, I like. I'm very pleased with this sequence of songs. I have there are things that I'd add, but I don't think there's really anything I would subtract.
Mhm.
Um, Let me point out one other weird little detail about the surround mix, however. 1985, in the stereo mix, it's the full song, right? Ending with the Band on the Run reprise.
Right.
Mhm.
In the surround mix, they end it with the end of 1985, just that big last chord, and you don't get the Band on the Run reprise. And it's interesting hearing it that way.
Wow.
Um,
huh?
yeah, so that's a nice little touch.
Interesting
But
choice.
I can't think of
They,
anything that I would delete, to tell you the truth.
Mhm.
I would even have trouble deleting things for the sake of putting in things that I wish they had put on. I think it's all it's a nice compilation as
Mhm.
compilations go.
oh, they should have made it a triple CD and four record set.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there you
yeah,
go.
probably.
Oh, they
That
could have
solves.
easily. Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. Ken, was there any track on here that you thought, why'd they include this? I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but
Well, I wouldn't have put Sea Moon in there, but I
mhm.
just know it's a favorite of his.
Mhm.
That's why it's in there. I have no problem. Well, I would take Mamunia out.
Mhm.
You know, I don't understand the logic in there. I mean, if I was to start someone on the Wings catalog without having this out, I'd start him on Band on the Run because it's widely accepted as, the most popular, the best-selling one of them all. So that person would have half the album already, more than that if they bought this. So, yeah, I just, from my own personal taste, like I said, I like Sea Moon. Don't anybody take this the wrong way. I wouldn't have put that on here. There's so many other better songs to put on there, and I would take off Mamunia,
Mhm.
definitely.
Okay. All right. Darren, you've
Yeah, I
narrowed
think
down your
that.
choice?
Yeah, I think, and I thought of the one other point that I wanted to make before that I'm happy to see Venus and Mars Rock Show here, the
Yeah.
edit.
Yeah.
Um, um, and I don't like edits. I hate edits. But for me, this is totally for me, for personal reasons. Um, that single version was how I heard those two songs for so long, and it means a lot to me that it's acknowledged as a single edited down song that was a major hit. Now, as for my "what is this doing on here" moment, I love it. I love the song, but why is it here? Get on the right thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
How come? How do you feel that way?
It just always struck me as the type of tune that, I mean, I love it, but it wouldn't be what I'd say to somebody, oh, on this album, this is one of the top tunes on the album. I wouldn't say that about Red Rose Speedway. As much as I love it, trying to give them what really is highlight tracks, that probably isn't one that I'd mention. Big Barn Bed might come to mind before that. Definitely, we mentioned Little Lamb Dragonfly. I even think the 10-minute medley is so outstanding. A
Hmm.
classic McCartney melody that is overlooked today, probably because of its length and whatnot. But Get on the Right Thing was my huh?
Mhm.
Okay, I love it, but
Mhm.
huh? Now
Yep.
you made a face, Ken, when I said Venus and Mars rock show. I saw the face. I'm not letting you get by. You was going to say something. You were going to mock my hat, I think. No, I'm kidding.
No, I love your hat.
No,
I was going to say, first of all, that one of the points I wanted to make about something that I like about this compilation is that
no edits.
in most cases,
Mhm.
yes, no,
Yeah.
they didn't edit silly love songs,
Yeah.
didn't edit with a little luck.
Yeah.
They
Full
didn't
version.
edit Junior's Farm, thank God. Like that
Mhm.
was such a long song to begin with.
The
But the
edit of With a
worst,
Little Luck is on the single disc.
oh,
Oh,
I didn't know.
really?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
Okay.
single CD, single LP has the DJ edit of
okay.
With a Little Luck.
Which is the superior version. I like the. I mean, I like the
Yeah,
full
the
length
full. I
version.
agree with you. I hate edits. I hate them.
Hmm.
But it
And
was a little different with Venus and Mars Rock Show. And you really want to get anal here. Um, if you look at the label of the single, there's no slash. It's presented as a song, Venus and Mars Rock Show.
Oh, okay.
So I always thought of it as being kind of just a different version of the album, the two that opened up the Venus and Mars album.
Mhm.
And because I had that single and listened to it so much before I ever got my hands on the album, which was Christmas Gift, Christmas 1975. That was my first Wings vinyl record, was
Mhm.
Venus and Mars. But
well,
anyway.
you and I have a completely different opinion about the edit because I think that was one of the worst things that ever
Oh,
happened.
you don't like that particular edit?
Hate that edit
Mhm.
because the whole song of Venus and Mars Rock Show flows so well on the
Mhm.
album. To take out the lights go down, they're back in town. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
That's so perfect in the song.
Mhm.
And then to go into the do 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 do, oh, it's to cut
Yeah.
right into that.
I don't
It's
disagree with you.
horrible.
You know
Mhm.
why I think it? Because I heard that version first. And
Mhm.
I heard that version a lot more. And then when the album came, I remember hearing it and thinking it was kind of awkward with all these extra things in there. And it didn't take long for me to prefer, obviously, the album versions. But at first, it was a little jarring for my little 10-year-old ears.
Okay. Too
Tender.
much for you to
Uh,
handle there,
Yeah. Well, probably I'm going to be mocked, and I don't have a hat. For my pick, which is, I'm sorry, Ellen, Love is Strange. I've just never liked that version. I just felt like it went on too long. It just was, and I like reggae. Don't get me wrong, I love
yeah.
reggae. But I've just never warmed up to that version. I just didn't think it quite worked. And as I said, way too long. I thought so. That was my pick, but some others were touched on here. But I was like, why this
It
one?
was almost a single.
Yeah, I.
And I would have thought maybe that would have been a song to omit
Mhm.
because it's not an original. It's
Yeah,
the only cover.
there you go. That's
what's
another
wrong
So,
with
reason.
but
what's wrong with that? I mean, he's showing pride in a song, and it doesn't have to be an original.
Mhm. No, but I don't know. It's just not one that's ever really connected with me personally. But I know listen, I know there are a lot of fans of it, so you know, so you can send the hate mail to us for a variety of reasons after this show. Um, so despite its flaws, but it's got a lot of strong points. I think let's wrap up the discussion by going around and saying, all right, this is the third, as I mentioned, Wings compilation. Uh, you know,
Well, it's
Wings
really the fourth Wings. Well,
If you count
Wings
Pure
specific.
McCartney.
Well, I guess if you count Pure McCartney, yeah, I guess I just generally don't because it's not, it's not Wings. It's
Yeah.
this whole, but we can throw that into. Okay, so
Same with all the best.
yeah, and all the best. That's right.
oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, this question's then getting way more complicated than I expected. So let's put it this way. Considering all of those and now this new Wings compilation, if you were going to introduce somebody to the band who's never heard them before, you want to give, or just may have, very rudimentary, notions of them, you want to give them a good overview of their work. Which of those compilations do you think fits the bill the best? So, Ken?
That depends on whether you're talking about Wings or you're talking about all of Paul
Yeah,
McCartney.
Wings. Let's talk Wings just
Well,
to
how can
narrow
it
it
be any
down.
better than this? Because it's
Hmm.
strictly Wings.
Hmm.
It always bothered me when Paul in concert, like, this is for the Wings fans,
Yeah,
and he does Too Many People,
yeah.
not a Wings song. You
Nope.
know, a lot of people get confused, and that's why there's a lot of people out there that don't see a difference between solo McCartney and the group, because he didn't do enough to establish Wings after the Wings era to make it separate.
Mhm.
Here, he finally is doing that. So this is one of the most satisfying. I mean, I like all those compilations in a way for different reasons. Sometimes Wingspan is very satisfying as long as I don't think of it as a Wings collection because it's not.
Yeah.
But Paul's done so much great stuff after Wings that if you want something that's an overview of his entire career, he still doesn't have anything that's really fully satisfying.
Right.
But if you're going to do one particular period of his life, this one's probably the most consistently strong
Okay.
and more complete. Not
Hmm.
perfect, but it's
Hmm.
very good.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Alan, what's your verdict?
Well, if someone came to me and said, show me what the big deal about Wings was with a compilation, I mean, I would be tempted to make my own compilation.
Sure.
But if I was too busy, I'd give them this one because, uh, for all the reasons that we've said about the combination of hits and deep cuts and the variety of things that Wings was up to. Although, as we've also pointed out, some of that variety didn't quite get on here. I mean, Sally G and Daytime, Nighttime Suffering would have expanded the palette quite a lot, and also the live coming up. So, um, but yeah, I mean, I think this is as good a compilation as he's come up with because Wings Greatest, I mean, that to me just seemed sort of a thrown together single album with not entirely Wings, and Wingspan we've is the same thing but longer. This is actually Wings and unassailably Wings. So yeah, this is uh, probably the one I would choose to turn someone on to Wings.
Absolutely. Other than, yes, that's another option, coming up with your own playlist,
Yeah.
compilation,
Mm.
whatever, that's true. But yep, this'll do in a pinch. Darren, how about you?
Oh, this one. There's no doubt. No doubt. My heart is always attached to Wings Greatest, again, as I have said a few times here. And through the years on these two shows, I've said Wings were the soundtrack to my youth. When I was growing up in the Bronx in the 70s, the world actually, sun rose and set on Wings first, Beatles second, as I learned
Mhm.
through the course of the decade, the Beatles records, and many of them I got as Christmas gifts and built the catalog and learned backwards. Wings were happening current. I ate it up listening to American Top 40, hearing, uh, you know,
ACDC.
Wings going up the charts or look paging through a billboard. Um, and this is as close to a complete, true best of Wings that exists. I never liked all the best, probably because of the edits
Mhm.
that dot that album. And Wings' greatest, well, just I said just now, it was something that was near and dear to me. And Pure McCartney is just a nice mixtape. I would like to see, and this probably won't happen, Paul has now created a Wings-centric, fairly accurate and almost perfect compilation here. What he really needs is several best of albums that concentrate on different eras of his career, I think. Um, it's a huge body of work to say here's the best of McCartney, 1980 to 20, hopefully 2090. Uh,
Mhm.
um, but he could actually stand to have something that like sums up, say, the 21st century. We did a show with that
Hmm.
on the best of McCartney in the 21st century, the best of um, I mean, the 80s, you could do that. I mean, Flowers in the Dirt and Tug of War, I think both aren't, shouldn't be if you're going to separate eras. But, he can use a comprehensive compilation of the solo stuff, and more than one, actually.
Mhm. No, I think that's a very good point. And yeah, I would say yes, this has its flaws, as we've talked about on this show. It's still, I think, is a pretty good overview. Again, if I were to introduce somebody to Wings, I wouldn't have a problem handing this over to them. Even though it's got some omissions we've talked about, I think it does give a pretty good overview, and I stress overview of obviously the big hits, but also some of the lesser known tracks that, show their diversity. And as I think you guys have said many times throughout the show tonight, really establishing Wings as a separate part of his career that, is it should be judged on its own merits. And I
Mhm.
think, this Wings Ultimate collection does, or definitive collection does do a decent job of that. Better than Wingspan, that's for sure. For sure. So yeah, I think we can all say, it's a fun listen. We could you can debate about it forever, but I think it's a worthy addition, even if you're a hardcore fan, to your collection, because it's just got everything in one place in many ways.
Yeah.
So yeah, and of course, songs are great. I mean, what can you say? I mean, they're classics. So, all right. So, I think that wraps up our discussion. So, why don't we go around and tell people where we can be found, how you can reach us? Alan, we'll start with you.
Okay, you can reach me on Facebook either under Allan Kozinn or Allan Kozinn Remixed. I probably should do Allan Kozinn Surround.
There you go.
uh, and you can also write to me just at allankozinn@gmail.com. You can write to all of the things we said today, guys, at things we said today radio show at gmail.com. And we have a Facebook page, things we said today video podcast. And we post the shows on YouTube and on Podbean, and Podbean distributes them to everyone in the world, Apple Podcasts and iHeartRadio, various other places. And so yeah, there it is.
Okay, great. Darren.
All right. So once again, to reiterate what I was saying at the beginning, back on the radio at WKZE in Red Hook, New York, and Dutchess County at 98.1 FM and also in 105.9 FM. And if you're not up in the Hudson Valley, Western Connecticut area to listen on terrestrial radio, You can listen on their website, which is wkze.com, or get their app, WKZE. They got their app, and you could download that and listen. If you want to shoot me an email, darrendevivo@gmail.com. If you want to send me something personal, and we could talk about Ken and stuff behind his back. I'm kidding. Or Facebook, two Facebook pages. Darren DeVivo and the other one with the big convoluted long name that I'm going to change one of these days. But I changed it already once. And for some reason, Facebook does not allow you to change the name of your Facebook page twice in a 60-day period. Who knows why? So in time, I will eventually kind of play around with that. And then maybe Alan could call that page his other page, Alan Cole, um, Dolby Allan Kozinn Atmos or something like that.
There you go.
And when you said that 1985 was missing the Band on the Run coda, I thought to myself, as a joke, what they should have done was, as 1985 ends, put the James Bond beginning of Help at the end of that, just to catch people off guard and,
Ah,
you know,
Yeah.
get a
that would have
few
been fun.
chuckles out of it.
There you go. Perfect. Okay, Ken?
If you need to reach me directly, my email address is everylittlething@att.net. Don't forget, I do have that special contest going on my website, kenmichaelsradio.com, to win the Beatles anthology book, just reissued right here. And it's on my special contest page, tells you how to win. I have 5 copies to give away. The link is in the description box here if you want to enter the contest. It's going on for almost 2 weeks, up until December the 2nd. Okay. On my own YouTube channel, Ken Michaels Radio, I just did an interview, which I talked about earlier, with Scott Freeman, who ever since the year 2009 has been doing this series called Deconstructing the Beatles. I only just recently really got into it because there were some PBS broadcasts of what he does. He had a show just on Rubber Soul. He had a show on Strawberry Fields Forever and Penny Lane. He tells you the history of the songs, and then he walks you through how everything was recorded and how everything was tracked, and it's all shown in graphics, and it's beautiful the way he does it. And everything is isolated, which you can do with today's technology. And this was a really great interview that I did with him. He broke down Come Together as a song and told you how it was recorded. And you should check that out. I think it's one of my favorite, most recent shows. And he is doing a show, as I said earlier, at the Schubert Theater in New Haven, Connecticut, this Thursday night at 7 p.m. If you're in Connecticut or in the New England area, you're going to learn so much you may never have learned before or knew before about Rubber Soul. In addition to that, I know many Beatle fans are Raspberries fans. And this was a tribute double CD that just came out of various artists, all covering music from the Raspberries. There's a lot of big stars on here. Rick Springfield, Vicky and Debbie Peterson of the Bangles. Let's see, Robin Taylor Zander, the son of Robin Zander. Let's see, Lou Gramm is on here, John Waite, the Hudson Brothers, their
Oh,
first new song in a long, long time. Lots of great people on here, including John Borak, who's been a guest on my channel many times. He has a band called the Pop Dudes that are on here. And so I interviewed Fernando Perdomo, who helped to put together this compilation, along with another mutual friend of ours, Ken Sharp. I wish Ken was in the show with us. And they know a lot of people in the power pop world, and these are all great cover versions of Raspberry songs. So we talk about this new compilation tribute for the Raspberries called Play On, one of their great songs. And that's on Ken Michaels Radio. A few more things. We talked about Talk More Talk, the most recent show, which is up there from the conference on Rubber Soul. It's talking about Rubber Soul and the solo careers of the Beatles. Go to Talk More Talk, a solo Beatles video cast for that, and my radio show, Every Little Thing. Go to WFDU's website, WFDU.FM. There's an archivals page for all the shows that they run there. And look up Every Little Thing, and there's several shows that you can listen to on demand. Each show is up there for 2 weeks, so there's plenty of time to listen to the shows, Beatle music, solo music, thematic sets, you name it. And then there's my website, which also has Beatles trivia, in addition to the special contest. Enough about me. Back to you, Kit.
Okay. And finally, of course, you can find us at talkmoretalk.com. You can find us on Facebook. Of course, find us right here on our YouTube channel. And please subscribe so you'll get all the new episodes. You can also email us at talkmoretalksolo@gmail.com. As far as I'm concerned, you can find me at kidotool.com. I'm also on Facebook. I've got, like many of us here, 2 pages. I've got one that says Kid O'Toole. The other one is Kid O'Toole Keynotes. And you can find my other podcast, Toppermost of the Poppermost, at toppermostofthepoppermost.net. You can find all the past episodes there, as well as ones that are coming up that we're very excited about. And I'm also, the day after Thanksgiving, I'm going to be signing books at a great record store, and it's my local record store, called Blue Village Vinyl, and at noon, and so noon central, of course. So if you're in the Westmont, Illinois area, please come on by and say hi and get your Christmas shopping done. Yeah, get those record store day releases. There are discounts throughout the store, and my books. So it's a
Nice.
one-stop shop. I mean, come on, you can't miss it. So anyway, I think that's and my part 2 of my disco class will be starting in mid-December. I think it's December 16th. I will have information about registering for that on my Facebook page and Talk More Talks as well. So we're all very, very busy people, obviously. So this has been a fun show. Really enjoyed talking about the Wings compilation, the latest one with all of you. And look for more Wings content on both of our shows in the near future. So for Alan, Darren, and Ken, this is Kit saying good night tonight.
Hack, hack.